Hey guys, and welcome to day 23 of the July Scrapathon. It's almost coming to an end. I can't believe it. Okay, so if you still don't know what I'm talking about, make sure to check out the Facebook group. And my introductory video. There'll be links in the description below. There's still time for you to participate, even if you're new here. So today's challenge is called Paint and Paper, and it's pretty simple. All you have to do is use mixed media on pattern paper, and that's something I don't normally do, so I had a lot of fun using that. So I hope you enjoyed what I created. And I hope you check out Carla's video. I can't wait to see what she came up with. And don't forget to check out the April Lilli store, which is sponsoring us this month. Sponsoring the event, not us, me. Sponsoring the event, basically. She has an awesome blog and design team members, and her store is great, so go and check her out. And then there is also, what else? Okay, Carla's video. You can probably tell I'm kind of tired. It's almost 7 and I'm exhausted today. So, what else should I mention? Oh my god. Yeah, I think that's about it. So check all of those people out, and I hope you like what I created, and I hope you participate in the challenge. Of course, I would really like it. Okay, so I'm just going to use the Atwell collection with part of the Happy Place collection by Fancy Pants. So those florals you see there, I just cut those out of a scrap piece from the Happy Place collection because I just have a few pieces of that left and I want to use it up. And then what's left of those of that piece of paper, I use the backside to kind of mat my photos. And the backside is a nice yellow. And this picture is of me and a friend in the park. So I thought the wood grain paper would look really nice on the page, but I just felt that it was a bit overwhelming and that it would need a mat. So I'm starting by going through and seeing what other papers I can add onto my page. And then here's where I was trying to decide what background paper to use. And I am going to stick with this paper. I think that is the wood grain paper is called Bloom. And then this paper, the blue one, is called Flying, I think. Yeah, I think it's Flying. Okay, so I'm going through my scraps there, and now I'm going through the 6x6 paper pad from the Atwell collection, and I'm trying to see if there's anything else I want to add to my clusters there, because at the moment I'm just really liking the little pop of yellow and layering the flowers on top of the pictures, which were originally 4x6. I don't know if you saw that, and I trimmed them down just because there's 2 of them and there was a lot of extra space. So I'm just cutting the boarding strips off now, and I decide I'm going to mat the blue on the wood grain, and I went and just cut it down a lot because I thought I would want a huge border, and I regret that later on, but I'll talk about that later when it gets there. So I'm fidgeting with where I want to place his flowers, and I want to use as many of them as I can, so I'm creating a secondary cluster at the bottom there. And now I'm just going through some paper, and I thought I could cut out some of these circles because they're gorgeous and somehow incorporate them on the page because I have some red in that flower and I wanted to bring in some red elsewhere. So I'm going to cut a couple of those, and then I'm also going to cut a large one. You'll see that in a bit, and I'm just layering them in, but I don't really like that. So I thought, what if I cut like a big one from the 12x12 paper and layer it behind something, but that was just worse. So I'm going to scratch that idea and move on to something else. So I keep going through the paper pad. That is what I'm doing at the top there, and I had this blue floral cut out, so I cut another one to add one in the bottom layer because I just liked how that dark element sort of looked on that light blue. So I have both the flowers and the flowers from the Happy Place collection and the blue flower in both clusters, and that just brings a bit of repetition and connects the 2 clusters together. Okay, so here's where I realized that the mat was way too big, but I couldn't really do anything about it because I had already cut down the blue paper. So I trimmed down the other paper slightly. So it's not going to be a perfect 12 by 12, but I don't really mind that because most of my pages aren't, because when I cut down that A3 paper, when I use white cardstock, it's not an exact 12 by 12. So anyway, now comes the challenge part of the video. So the challenge was to use mixed media and pattern paper. And I know this is a sort of solid pattern, but it is pattern paper, so I'm going with it. And I'm using some gesso and just adding it in the areas where my two clusters are going to go, so like the photo cluster, and then that little embellishment cluster, which is also going to be my title cluster in the future. And then I'm just piecing everything back together to see if I want more gesso, and I'm going to add some more to the bottom cluster, and I'm also going to add some more to the top cluster because there wasn't enough at the bottom. And I really like how that gesso looks on the blue. I don't know why I enjoy that, but so I ditched that wood grain paper for the time being because I just really liked how this looked, but I'm going to come back to it. So anyway, I'm using some blue watercolor and just doing the packaging technique just to bring in some more of that darker blue that's in that floral piece. And I'm dabbing it up because I don't want it to be overpowering. I just want a slight burst of color, sort of. So I'm gonna finally glue down these mats so I can move that cluster around pretty easily. So I'm just putting some in the both corners of the photos. And then I'm going to add some pink to the clusters as well, because I only have pink in that one flower, and I wanted to add some more. So I'm just going to do the packaging technique again, and I'm also going to dab that up because I don't want the pink to be too much since there's not a lot of pink on the page. Okay, so I'm placing everything back onto the layout now, and I pull in that wood grain paper again. But I wasn't really liking it at that point either, so I'm just taking it away. And then I'm trying to use some of these scraps of paper that I have left, but I didn't really like anything. And I also wanted to mat my photo on something else, but I couldn't find anything. And I decided that I liked it just the way it was after I cut into 50 billion pieces of this blue paper. So I'm going to pull out a second piece now because I didn't like how I cut the first one and cut that too. So I didn't end up using that. It just wasn't working. So I just wasted some of that paper. But anyway, okay, so now I'm playing again with where I want to position those floral pieces. And I should be gluing some of this stuff down. I don't know why I'm not yet. Okay, so I'm bringing in that wood grain paper again and again. And then I thought maybe I could use that yellow paper, but I didn't like that either. Now I decided to use that flare badge as the last flare badge from the Owl collection, and it was my favorite, but I had to struggle using it on pages, and I thought it looked perfect right there, so I'm just placing it there where in between the leaves of that flower. And then I pulled out that red tag and randomly placed it behind those flowers, and I just really like how that looked. Okay, so now I'm checking my alphabet sets to see if I have the letters I'm looking for, and I do have them in the green, so I'm going to add the green letters in just a bit, but I decided to pull out the die cuts from the Happy Place collection, and I'm going to add what am I going to add? I'm trying to add that tab in that piece that says Happy Place, but they're not going to work. And then I pulled this sticky note from the Atwell collection and I cut it off so it wasn't a banner, but I left that there. I wanted to bring in some more red since I have a lot of red now on the bottom cluster where the tag is. And that tag is from the Atwell collection. I also added some little floral pieces from the Happy Place collection to the bottom cluster. And now I finally decide that that's it, and I'm going to glue everything down. And I'm just using some Yoo-Hoo glue because I find it sticks well on mixed media and gesso in particular. And the ATG works awesome too. It's just the flowers didn't have a lot of space for me to use the ATG. They're a bit small. And I haven't mastered the ATG technique yet for small things, so I'm just using my twist and glue here. So I added those two little floral die cut pieces, And then I'm playing around with some of those sticky notes. So that blue one says good stuff. And then I added a circular gray one on the side there of the photo on the right. And then I'm going to add that another blue sticky note at the top. And then I'm going to add another circle to cluster with the flare, and I'm also going to add one of those circles to the third cluster, and that also has that repetition element, so there's a bit of that gray and the circular element in all three places. And then I chose that green sticker to cover up because those sticky notes said this on it and I didn't really like it, so I just covered it up with that green puffy sticker from the Atwell collection. And that also pulls in the green from these letters that I'm going to use for my title at the bottom cluster. So then again I have green in two different clusters, so that just connects everything together. Okay, so my title is going to be Zip Lining, and I spelled that out, and I'm just going to glue down everything better because I just had a slightly glued down some of these things. Okay, and I'm using a tissue paper to dab some of the glue that seeps through the edges occasionally, and it does dry clear, but I just like to dab it up so I don't get glue all over me. And then I wanted to add this little heart, so I'm cutting off the white border because I didn't like how that looked, and then I didn't like how it looked without the white border on the page anyway, so I'm just going to save that for another layout. And now I'm coming in with some sequins. I'm just spreading them in all three clusters, but I decided I didn't like them on this particular layout, so off they go back into their little glassine bag. And now I'm going to see if I want to add some of these enamel dots, and I decide not to. Or maybe I do add some. Oh, I just add that one star at the top there, and I try to add some stars in the other clusters, but I don't like them anywhere else, so I'm just going to leave that one at the top there. It's a pink star. And then I'm coming back to the mat, and I pulled out a black piece, I pulled out the wood grain, and then I pulled out this paper. So this paper matched that flare because they have the same pattern, and there's also reds and florals, but I didn't want that huge border because it's a very bold paper. So I'm measuring how much it would be if I decided to use that, because I do like how it looks. So I thought I would have used that for a long time, but I was bit concerned about wasting it, and then I just decided it was just too bold. So when I put back that wood grain paper after looking at that bold piece, it was like, wow, this works really well. So I decided to glue that down, and I did glue it down so that the wood grain would be horizontal and not vertical. I don't know why, I just preferred it that way. And now I'm just dabbing the glue that seeps through again, and I'm going to do my, what am I doing? I'm going to do my journaling with a Staedtler pigment liner in the I think it's a 0.1 tip. It might be yes, it's a 0.1. And then I'm adding like who's in the photos and some doodles on, I think. And I'm also going to border the whole layout, and that is going to complete my page. So I hope you participate in this challenge as well. So to participate, don't forget to click the Facebook group link in the description below and join the Facebook group to where you can enter to win the prizes and see what everybody else is creating. Also, don't forget to check out Carla's video, which will also be in the description below, and stop by the April Lilli store and blog to get both inspiration and some new goodies for your stash. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.